Welcome to the Podfather podcast. You can find everything about me on the QR code there or go to roycollin.com. If you're looking for virtual assistants, go to va.world and you'll find my 6 podcasts as well as everything else I'm doing. My guest is an award-winning business and sales coach, public speaker, and published author. She's a podcast host of the top 5% ranked show, Create Online Business Success, creator of Business Visibility Made Easy, the step-by-step system for gaining new clients without paid ads, which we always like. From Arkansas, please welcome Tracy Beavers.
Thank you, Roy. It's lovely to meet you. Thanks for having me.
And looking forward to this because, a lot of times people think we have to spend a fortune with advertisements and everything. So I suppose let's just talk about yourself first, your show, how you got started.
Sure. Thank you. So I'm a corporate dropout, and I never thought I would be. I went to college, got the degree, got the job, and fast forward through some toxic bosses and some jobs that just didn't feel quite right. I decided about 7 years ago that I needed to make an exit strategy. And so through some really good friends and some soul searching, they helped me realize I'd always been in business and sales. I had an over 25-year award-winning sales career in corporate. I thought because sales was easy for me, that it was easy for everybody. But they helped me realize it's not, and that I could really excel as a business and sales coach, helping small business owners and entrepreneurs grow their businesses. And so I got started. And then about a year and a half later, I was able to fully leave corporate and fully focus on building this business. And in that time, since then, my focus has shifted from local small business owners to the online space. Helping online entrepreneurs, so coaches, course creators, podcasters, consultants, gain massive visibility where your audience says to you, Roy, I see you everywhere. But you're not online 24/7. It's just the strategies I teach you. And all of that visibility we use to attract your ideal audience, bring them offline onto your email list where you can then nurture them into buyers.
Excellent. So I know with the email list, I suppose, first of all, let's talk about the systems because I've had I think I've had 20 different businesses in 5 different countries. So I'm very entrepreneurial. And I know that some of the email systems, they're painful. So which one would you recommend? First of all, that because there's so many, and then how to start nurturing it and getting it to work for you.
Yeah, for sure. So it depends on the scope of your business. If you are a podcaster like me, who uses a podcast as a top of funnel strategy to move my ideal clients from awareness to warming them up, getting them onto my list so that they eventually join my program or buy my offer, then something like Kajabi or Go High Level, one of those that's an all-in-one that allows you to have everything on one platform. That speaks to me because tech is not my love language at all. So that's why I use Kajabi. I knew I was going to be a course creator and I wanted everything all in one place. But if you are a podcaster that does not have an offer yet, but maybe you still want to monetize your podcast, that's your offer. Something simple like MailerLite is wonderful. A lot of my clients and students use ConvertKit. Now it's called Kit. They rebranded over the last year. And there's another one called Flowdesk, Flow with no W, Desk. That one is these are all very user-friendly, and they allow you to do what you need to do to build your list, which is create landing pages for some free opt-ins that you're going to tease your audience with so they want to join your list.
And sometimes when you have to change, you realize you're on one system and lots of people say, hey, this is way better. Just say it's the Flow one that you mentioned.
Right.
And you have a list of maybe 3,000 or whatever. Sometimes, because not everyone's opening, and sometimes you just can't just transfer your database into the next one. You have to get permission from them to accept you as... Is there ways around that, is there?
Yeah, not necessarily. So it depends on how they got on your list. So, and being in the country that you're in, you have to be GDPR compliant. And that's kind of tricky. So what we want people to opt in to our list. But once they've opted in, you're using Flowdesk, but you want to change to Kajabi or MailerLite or Go High Level, they've already given you permission because they chose to opt into your list. And so then it's a simple matter of downloading that CSV from Flowdesk, importing it into the software system you want to use because they've already given you permission. What we have to do as list builders is be very careful that we don't meet somebody, let's say in person at a local event, and they give us their business card and we go and put them into our email list that way. That is not okay.
Podcasters have a habit of doing that as well. When you go, they automatically add you to their mailing list, and you're like, and it's okay. You don't mind if you're doing a view, but I mean, I've done 1,500 episodes.
Yeah.
You know, like that's what and I get thousands of emails, and they subscribe and everything. But people, unfortunately, sometimes they just assume, I'm going to add you to my mailing list.
Right. Now, if they hand you their business card and you say, would you like to be on my email list? I do X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to send you this and that. And they say yes, they've given you permission. However, if they ever decide to report you, you don't have any proof. So that's where it gets a little tricky. It's get a little tricky there. So we just have to be careful, especially depending on what country you're in.
So there's one that I've got different answers for this. I'd love to know your take on it.
Sure.
When you blast out, whether you have like a sequencing of your messages going out, sometimes when you're looking at the analytics or whatever, and say the open rate, and if you know somebody hasn't opened it for a couple of years or whatever, do you remove them so that you get or do you just say, oh, eventually I might get lucky? What's your thoughts on that one?
You could go either way with it, but the people that I follow that really know about email delivery, because several of these companies over the last year have really gotten serious about spam. Hotmail, Gmail. There was a tech thing we had to go through a year ago with DMARC, and I don't even something. I paid somebody to set it up for me. But email has gotten more serious. The email delivery companies have gotten more serious about preventing people from spamming. And so by keeping that dead weight on your list, you are potentially affecting the deliverability of your email, because you don't want these email delivery systems to say, well, this is bouncing, or this person opted out and they're still sending it. So some people will say, keep them on your list, they might come back. You'll find other people that say, scrub the list, get them off there, get the dead weight off. Your open rate will go up. And then I guess if they want to come back, you have to hope they find you. So there's a lot of different arguments on that. And I think at the end of the day, it depends on where you are in your business, how big is your list, what is that open rate, and how and you as a business owner making that decision.
So I'd like to know how to get around this one. London Real are basically he was doing a lot of interviews. He's got a massive list. And at one stage, I kind of did a course to I was on my 4th podcast at this stage. I wanted to up my level, thinking that I'd learn something from him. It was the only one that didn't actually go to the top of the charts because I followed their systems. But besides that point, I had signed up, and paid a course, and I got emails. And then I unsubscribed because it was like blasted. One of these ones where you're getting 3 or 5 a day, and you're going,
right.
You were getting emails from Office at London Real. Then he'd send one, Crypto at London Real, Info at and you're like, I started writing, and Tucker Carlson is the same now, because I tried to unsubscribe him. I just thought, I don't like, I can't.
Yeah.
I've tried so many times, and I was going to spam, but it's like, I don't know why and how they're getting away with that, but there's a few companies that do that.
I don't know either. I don't know either. There are a couple that I have unsubscribed from 3 or 4 times, and I do not know the answer to that. But whatever they're doing, it's not okay. It is not GDPR compliant. It is not. It's not what the email list people want us to do. Let's just say that.
Yeah. And sending thing is, I don't know with you, but for me, when there's so many that you're getting on back, you're missing then important messages that could be potential clients or their friends or something that's relevant to you.
Right. Yeah. No, I absolutely agree with you, Roy. Sometimes too much. More is not better. Sometimes more is just more, and it's overwhelming. And if you are bombarding your audience with things that they might not have signed up for, in my opinion, that's not okay. You are running the risk that they are going to unsubscribe and they're not going to have a good feeling about you. Because when somebody lands on my email list, to me, and I email them, I visualize myself literally landing in their living room because that is how special that relationship is to me. If you're on my email list, I want to know who you are. I want to have a relationship with you. I want to have a connection with you. I want to know what you bought, and I want you to reply to me. But that's not going to happen if I am standing in your living room with a bullhorn just going, buy my stuff, pay attention to me, which is what they're doing when they're landing in your inbox 4 and 5 times a day. That's too much. It's too much. It's too much for me too. So I would have unsubscribed as well. I email my list on Tuesdays and then on Thursdays and on Fridays because I go live every Thursday at 11:30. That's been my regular piece of weekly content for years. And that live training is the audio from my podcast. So on Tuesday, I email you and I go, hey, Roy, this is what I'm going to talk about on Thursday. Here's the location to come join me live. I'd love to see you so you can ask me questions about XYZ topic. Then on Thursday, I'm going to send you an email about 30 minutes before I go live. Hey, Roy, hope to see you in 30 minutes. And then on Friday, I'm like, hey, Roy, did you miss the training yesterday? If you did, it's okay. I've got the replay here for you. And then I've got a couple of other podcast episodes that relate to this and, and a sign off and a PS and all that. So I feel like that's almost too much, but my audience has grown to become accustomed to it. And when somebody opts into my list, one of the things we do is we put them in a welcome sequence of 3 emails that let them get to know me, my quirky personality, my goofy self, that I make up words, that I talk with my hands, all the things, and help build a relationship between 2 human beings, right? So, because they get to know me. And one of the things I say to them in that email is, hey, Roy, I'm going to be emailing. This is my regular process is I'm going to be emailing you 3 times a week. And if that gets to be too much, I want you to let me know. And so I'm kind of letting them know what's going to happen. But if I just started blasting them, oh, my stars, that would not go well.
Well, I mean, you tell me that. I like that. I think that's fair enough. You're saying this is the way it is. And it's good because, if I like your content
Yeah.
and you're saying, hey, this is what it's going to be, and you're reminding me just before it's because life gets in the way. You forget you could have it in your calendar, but it's good that you might see it on the thing. And
Yeah.
I'm just curious because, I mean, I read a lot of stuff on, say, Dan Kennedy, and they'd be on about kind of the sales letter and everything. Listen, if it's relevant, the 8 pages will do and everything. But I think some people are waffling so much that just get to the point. If you're sending me a message, just go, "Brr." I mean,
Yes.
I've done it for some clients, and he was doing a load of stuff. Like, I'd write a big, I'd just put up a short information, and then maybe a short from a podcast or something like that, that the attachment was there. And that
Yeah.
it was converting way better.
Yes. I
So,
totally agree with that.
you agree. I mean, there's no need to be
Absolutely.
telling me a story when you can just get to the point.
No, if you're going to do 8 pages of something, that needs to be a blog post that you put on your website, and then you send me the link to it. And then I can decide if I want to go read it. The one thing I know about human behavior and having been in marketing for as many years as I have is that people are skimming. What happens to the brain, and this has happened to you before, you might not have thought about it this way. If you open your cell phone and somebody sends you a text message and it is a paragraph long, my brain goes, oh my stars, I do not have time to read this right now. I'll come back to
Mark is unread is what I usually do.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, nope, I do not have time for that. The same thing happens when when I open an email and there's big paragraphs of stuff. I'm like, no, nope. Either delete or I'll get to it later, and then I never do. So what we have to do is, first of all, the most read parts of the email are the subject line. We got to get them to open it. So we've got to have a really catchy, hooky, sexy subject line. Then we've got to be skimmable in the email. We have to break all the rules that we were taught in university about writing an essay, right? Or about writing a letter. This is not a 5-point, paragraph thing. We break all the rules. Lots of white space. In my emails, you will see 1 sentence, white space, 1 sentence, white space, 1 sentence, white space, because you're probably looking at it on your phone. And so I want to make it really easy for your eyes to see it, especially if your eyes are over 50 like mine. And then I want to make it skimmable. And so we use bullet points. We use a few emojis to kind of offset some things, make it visually appealing, and then make sure to use the PS for something. That's where you can promote an offer. You could say, hey, if you love this content and you know that I'm a visibility and list growth strategist, and I'm going to teach you ways to grow your list without paid ads or more lead magnets. Would you like to book a free info call? Or would you like to check out my course that teaches XYZ or whatever? You could totally do that in the PS. But the email itself has to be like just totally skimmable. Otherwise, people are not going to read it.
Yeah, I always do the space in between, like
Yeah.
something. Yeah, and same with like the title. Like I don't do it all capitals. I do a capital letter for the first word, unless it's like A and day and stuff like that. And
Right.
that was something from Ted Nichols on Words that and so many people, oh, that's wrong, that's wrong. It works because it grabs your attention. If it's all big, it doesn't really grab your attention. If it's like
No.
normal sentence, the way you're supposed to kind of proper English, doesn't work either.
It doesn't work.
So it's just play around with it. And I think that's the thing as well. And watch the analytics to see, hey, what's going on here? Why didn't this one convert?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
and do you look at the times as well? Because I'm really working on YouTube now at the moment. I'm really trying to figure it out, and just thumbnails. There's so many different things that you can do.
Yeah.
But one of the things is actually the time that you post. And same with the podcast as well. The post one, I used to put it out a minute past midnight. And I think it helped because I was saying, okay, I'm catching the early morning traffic for a lot of the European people, and then maybe late nighters in the States. But it tends to work. With the emailing, is that something that you look at and kind of go, okay, I know at certain time this is a better conversion rate?
I personally don't. And it's just because I don't have time for it. I could easily give that to somebody on my team, but it's not really something I've worried about. To me, the consistency of the email is more important than the time. So I'll just send my emails out. I like 5 a.m. Central. So my Tuesday email is going to go out at 5 a.m. Central. That Thursday one is at 11 a.m. Central because I go live at 11:30. So that time is stuck there. And then Friday, 5 a.m. Central. But I haven't really paid attention or played around with the time. There's so much that there's so many weeds we can get into with regard to when to post on social media, when does the algorithm favor it, when does the email get opened, And in my opinion, if you spend too much time in that, you're never going to get anything done. To me, it's more important to decide, when do I want to email my list, and stick with that. Even if it's only once a month, stick with it. Because what we don't want to have happen is you say, I'm going to email my list once a week, every week for the rest of my life. And 3 months from now, you've exhausted yourself and you're flat on the floor and you're like, I cannot write one more email. And you stop writing to your audience for a month or so. And then you get your energy back and you try to come back and do it again. And they're going to be like, who the heck is Tracy Beavers? They're like, I don't remember who she is. One of the things I wanted to share about the subject line, though, that I do know converts well and catches the eye in the inbox, is to put an emoji as the first character, especially if it's a brightly colored one. Because if you put a big yellow smiley face as the first character of your subject line, and I'm looking in my inbox and I see that big old smiley face, which one am I going to be drawn to first? I feel like that looks fun. I'm going to open that. Yeah. And then also you can capitalize like one word, like the most important word, like, let's see, how to stop being ghosted in the DMs, if that's your title. And you could do ghosted as a capital just to kind of also catch the eye. But then the other letters, like you're saying, normal. Yeah. Great tips.
And say with like Grant Cardone, like he's basically encouraging, like he's got a massive following, but he's telling people, he blasts out. Sometimes you can get 10 mails from him, and he's encouraging people to do it. I don't care if you don't want to be there because you just, I'm getting, but to me, it's like most of the kind of business people, they don't tolerate that. And if you're getting rid of them, he could be probably 10xing his income by not doing that, or giving him the option at least. And it's like, sometimes people are following someone like that thinking he knows better. Yeah, he's a billionaire, but he won't be getting anything from me because he annoys me.
Right, exactly. No, exactly right. So it doesn't matter how big the name is or how much money they've made. If what they're demonstrating to you and telling you that you need to do or you won't be successful, if that thing does not feel right to you in your gut, it's not the right thing. There are a million ways to build a business, and there's arguments on every side of everything. Like I teach organic strategies No paid ads. It's not because I don't like paid ads. Paid ads have worked for some of my clients really well. They've never worked for me. But so while I stand on the side of organic strategies, let's exhaust all the free stuff first before you throw money at it, you're going to find people on the other side that are like, no, you're missing the boat. Paid ads are the way to go. Speed up your list growth with, so there's arguments to everything. And at the end of the day, we've got to ask ourselves, what do we want to do? What feels good to us? How do we want to show up for our audience? Do we want our audience thinking that I'm going to spam them 10 times a day in their inbox? That doesn't feel good to me. But it might feel good to somebody else. It feels good to Grant Cardone, apparently. But, just because somebody makes a lot of money doesn't mean they're right. And I think that's a very important conversation to have, and I'm glad you brought it up. Because there's a lot of things going on in the online space that bother me. These big names that are saying you've got to do X, Y, and Z or you're not going to be successful. These big names that are wanting people to buy their big programs, and then the people buy the programs and they don't get the help they need. And then they end up coming looking for me as a business and sales coach because they know I will hold their hand and actually help them. And there's a lot of marketing going on. The bro marketing, I think, has toned down quite a bit. Thank goodness. But there's a lot of marketing going on where if you're new to the online space and you see somebody that says, I just launched and I made $100,000, if you don't know better, you might think that when you launch, you should make $100,000 because that person did. No. And so we've got to normalize the conversation about money, about what it takes to grow a business, and also at the end of the day, what are people's actual expenses? Because maybe Grant Cardone's making $70 million a year. I don't know. But if his expenses are $60 million a year.
Yeah, he's got a massive team.
That's not for me. Yeah. So at the end of the day, we just need to decide what is authentic to us. Because otherwise people they're going to know if I'm not comfortable with what I'm doing.
So, I've kind of had similar experience with you. You said the paid ads didn't work, and for me, it's similar. And I've also seen some of the clients that I've worked with, they were making a lot of money with paid ads, and then all of a sudden, the words that they were using changed on the algorithms for Google, and all of a sudden, their tap turned off, and they had to change the strategy. What I've noticed with a lot of the businesses is I always try to do organic. And the minute I start paying, one, they keep pushing all their ads and everything, which becomes annoying, but the organic stops. So I've learned I keep them separate, or I do something different. That if I have to do a paid thing, it's not connected with what I'm doing. I do it in a different platform or something like that. But I've learned that if I do paid ads on a business or a podcast or something like that, it never, my organic is gone. And I'm just curious, have you experienced similar?
Well, I don't run paid ads anymore. I am just all organic. I have built a multi-six-figure business using organic strategies. Because the 2 times I tried to run ads, they were very expensive and people joined my list, but they didn't stay. They didn't convert. And so, we have to be really careful about getting list growth just for the sake of list growth or getting followers just for the sake of followers. I prefer to have a smaller list of people who really like me and really want to be with me and are really my ideal clients than to try to get a big vanity number after running paid ads and wonder why people aren't converting. So I just use organic strategies. They work for me. They work for my clients and students.
I see you presented at ARKAST, ARKAST podcast festival. So being in Poland, there's not much of that kind of thing now. But so how beneficial going to these things are, for a podcaster?
Yeah, for sure. So that was the ARKAST podcast festival. It was here in Arkansas, hence the name ARKAST. I guess it's a play on Arkansas and podcast. They just combined the words together. So that was very beneficial. I think as a podcaster, podcaster or not, as an entrepreneur, whenever we're looking at, this is my take on it, whenever we're looking at traveling to a conference, I have to ask myself, okay, how much is it going to be to travel? How much is the conference? who's going to be there, what am I going to learn, and then attend it with the mindset of growth, of networking, meeting people, learning from the speakers, but taking the time to meet the people that are in the room with you, because networking is crucial. It's one of the organic strategies I teach. Networking to find collaborations, to find podcast opportunities, to find speaking opportunities. For me, it was a great opportunity to help podcasters understand that if they're a podcaster doing this as a hobby, or they're wanting to monetize the podcast, that's going to be their income. Or they're a podcaster like me that uses a podcast as a top of funnel strategy to then sell my offers. Either way, an email list is critical for the growth and stability of that show. And there's and the analytics ring true. I mean, if you send, we need to use our podcasts to pull people off of the platform onto our email list, and then we can increase downloads when we email them and say, hey, and you tease in the next episode that's coming, or you share the episode you just dropped. You can, the podcasters were asking me, well, how do I grow my list? Well, for me, I will create a lead magnet. A lead magnet is a great strategy, and I'll mention it in the podcast episode, in the audio, and also in the show notes. I have a free Facebook group that is my biggest source of list growth every single month. It's called Be a Confident Entrepreneur, Get Visible and Grow Your Income. And I will mention that in my podcast episodes. I'll mention it in my interviews that I'm doing, and I'll put it in the show notes. And the reason why it grows my list is because of the way I have the membership entry questions set up. When you want to join my group, the way I have the questions written, you want to give me your email address. But even if you aren't a business owner like I am, and you're doing a podcast, and maybe you're not even thinking about monetizing it right now. One of the things I mentioned in my talk at the conference was that, what if 6 months from now you decide, I think I can make some money from this podcast, and you want sponsors? Well, as a potential sponsor, if you said to me, I have this many downloads, I have this many followers on social, but Tracy, I have an email list of 2,000 people who listen to my show with an open rate of over 40% every single time, that is going to get my attention as a sponsor. Not the followers that you have, not the downloads that you have. It's that open rate of human beings that you are landing in their living room, and they are opening that email and they are consuming it. That is what's going to get my attention as a sponsor and make you more likely to get my money as a sponsor than somebody else.
That's fantastic advice, because there's people I've come across a lot. You can go away and get 1 million downloads and everything, and they're going, oh, I've got so many million. Yeah, they won't appear in the charts or anything like that, but they can have these numbers.
Yeah.
And then what happens is, a lot of the sponsors, they want to get your statistics and everything, but you have no problem showing them your email list and open, right? That's a simple thing to go, here you go.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
yeah, so that's a
It's
fantastic tip.
powerful. Yeah. People get so excited about the vanity numbers, and that's fun. If your YouTube channel has 100,000 subscribers, that's really fun. My question is, how's that translating into money? And I'll give you an example. Last summer, I had one of my clients. She came to me because she wanted to develop a course, and she needed help mapping it out, the launch, all that other jazz. At the time she came to me, she had an Instagram channel that had, I think, 200,000 followers. In our work together, she had grown the followers to about 800,000. Then she started a YouTube channel, immediately had it was crazy numbers, immediately had 200,000 subscribers. But she was making no money. She was not monetizing that at all. And we didn't know if those people were really her ideal clients. Because some people are voyeurs. They're just going to follow, or they're going to download, but they're never going to buy anything from you because they're not your ideal client. But if you can pull your actual ideal clients offline and get them onto a list where you can really nurture them, that's where you're going to make the money.
And just for those that think that you'll make, they look at Mr. Beast and he can give away 100 Teslas and all this different thing.
Yeah.
With the Polish one, I had over 500,000 views, and it was less than $500 that I got for that. So it's really, I kind of worked out, I think it's a half a cent is what you're getting for what they're charging the people that want to advertise. It's not a fair deal when you look at it, unless they start giving it more percentage when you get bigger. But for me, that's not where you're going to make your money.
Yeah. Yep.
So the, just like the social media, like
Mhm.
there was one thing that I saw that I had a conversation the other day with Pinterest with somebody, and I was saying, oh, I can see how it works for you. It never worked for me. I tried playing around with it because they've got a podcast talking about dogs, and fostering dogs
Mhm.
and stuff like that. So I said, yeah, people. And then she was saying one of her clients was doing arts and craft. And I said, that's great. But I saw your one, you're doing shorts, and I didn't realize you could put shorts on actually Pinterest. I thought it was just pictures.
Oh, yeah. Well, that is, but I actually don't know Pinterest. That is my team. That the only reason why I'm on Pinterest is because I have an assistant and she knows how to do it. And she takes my content that I create and then she reworks it into shorts and reels and all the stuff we need for the social media platforms. So Roy, you got me on that
Which
one.
it's after helping me because I didn't really.
Okay, good.
I've got thousands of shorts because I mean, like say the Polish one, I put out shorts. I put up 6 shorts in the Facebook group, and I can get
Yeah,
10,000 sometimes views on that. So
yeah,
like the fact that it works like that is
yeah,
is brilliant. Like yeah,
yeah. As long as it's translating into list growth and money, that's, again.
yeah, yeah, no, brilliant. And just finally, because like writing a book, and you had the advantages of that. And also, I was listening to your episode with Mike Capuzzi, I think you pronounce his name.
Uh,
And he was on about kind of creating a short little book.
yeah.
But that sounds like another very good strategy. One, to build a list because people might
Mhm.
who buy the book, or they can buy it now as a PDF because everyone has their own kind of style, whether they listen to the audio. You might just
Yep.
finally touch on that because I think that's another great way of building your list.
Yeah, it for sure it is. Writing a book or being a published author gives you credibility with people. They're like, "Ooh, somebody wanted to publish her? Okay, she must know what she's talking about." But yeah, a book can be a great way to do it. If you do it as an ebook, and like you're saying, it's a downloadable item. The key to a book there to get list growth from it would be a really cool QR code. So, like for example, if the book is all about how to create social media content with ease. And then you could say something like, if you're loving this book and you want to dive deeper into this topic, I've got a checklist for you. You can grab it here. Or if you're writing a fiction book and you could do something about the main character to get list growth. You could put a little blurb at the front or the back of the book that says, if you want to know the backstory about how I created this character, how she came to life, and, all about her, click this QR code and go grab, go opt, you're going to have a landing page where they opt in for it. But yeah, a book is a great way to grow a list.
Listen, Tracy, thoroughly enjoyed it. I know that I've got some homework after this one. So I can get my Pinterest going as well. So you might let people know where they can find you.
Absolutely. If they love podcasts, which they're listening to you, so they do, I would love for them to listen to my podcast. We launched it last summer and it's so much fun. It's called Create Online Business Success. And so download it on your favorite podcast platform. And then if you love Facebook groups as much as I do, and you want to be among over 3,500 online entrepreneurs and get support with what you need, for example, deciding what email platform you want to use. That's a great question to ask in my group because we have experts on every topic. You can promote your offers or your podcast anytime, and you're encouraged to meet the other members for coffee chats because you never know where that next connection when you're networking is going to lead. And so that free Facebook group is called Be a Confident Entrepreneur. You could just look me up on Facebook. I'm Tracy Lane Beavers, and you'll see my Facebook group featured on my profile.
Make sure I put the links both on the audio and the video. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Tracy.
Yeah, thank you, Roy.
That's all for Pod Fodder. You can find everything about me on the QR code. As she was talking about QR codes, I've got my QR code that takes you to roycollin.com. If you're looking for a virtual assistance, va.world. All my podcasts are there as well as all the different businesses that I'm involved in. Sure to give us a thumbs up, 5-star rating, share with your friends. And when you check out Tracy's podcast, make sure you do the same to her because it helps and it gets it out to more people so she can build her list, which is very important. Until next week, take care.